Welcome to Leadership Labs. I'm Louise and Maurice, leadership mentor and founder of the Academy for Holistic Leadership. We are continuing with my Get Results Confidence Coaching Framework. When you hear me say client, I want you to imagine the person or group of people you lead and apply the training to your real-world leadership situations. Let's continue. Lab 2 gives you the structured preparation, processes, and insight leaders rely on to create meaningful, real-world impact. All the resources I mention in this professional training are free and linked in the description below. Let's get started. Your preparation as a coach is important because you pull forward what was discussed in session number 6. And when you understand your clients and what they were struggling with, then that helps your clients realize that, hey, I am important. This person cared enough to make that connection and ask me how I was doing. Well, that's where you just pull out your notes, and even if it's 5 or 10 minutes before the start of the session, you get familiar with your client. And if you're coaching a group of people, remember I said probably no more than 6, and even less is better. But if you are coaching a group, then it's important to understand each of the group members. And even if you have them send you a picture, if you've taken pictures of them, and then with your notes, you can write those notes down so that when you get that visual, you're on that Zoom call or Skype, you can see them and you know who they are. It's important to always remember your clients and remember and pull forward from the previous session. But the preparation, the U of the Get Results program stands for unwind. And the reason I chose the word unwind as it relates to identity, so many people are so wound up in their identity, this personality that sometimes they've been given by other people, and that identity that helped them stay safe in their family unit. However they choose to say, the house that they grew up in, the family unit, their loving, caring family, whatever their attachment is to that family, that identity helped them stay safe in that family, helped them to belong in that family. It's just that that identity might not serve the purposes of moving them towards their goals and dreams now. And that identity might not be one that really connects with confidence. So you have to unwind that identity to get to the core of their confidence. And this is where, in preparing your clients, you would have sent them the PDF document that I developed for you. That PDF document has this image on it, and they're going to be looking at this image, and you would have asked them what their thoughts are about this image and what their feelings are about this image, and they might be a little confused, they might kind of laugh, but most people understand this image and the fact that if they've ever taken off wallpaper or if they've ever remodeled a room and they just want to peel off that paint, they understand. But as you move them through the session, obviously you will reconnect with this image and make those connections for them. But it's all about unwinding that confidence, unwinding all of the layers of identities and getting down to a confident identity. And that really helps them. You would have also sent them the link to the URL that we're going to look at in the procedures, the NLP, the Neuro-Linguistic Programming Technique. All right, that is the preparation. In the next lecture, we'll talk about step number 1, or how you start session number 7 with your clients. Let's continue. Have you ever met someone or even gone to a professional and you've paid them lots of money for services rendered, and then you have to connect with them again, and it might be a couple of months after that, but they have no idea who you are. They have no idea who you are. And I share that with you because that's happened to me. And it's not a great feeling, is it? When they have no idea who you are and you've just recently paid them so much money. And I know for myself anyway, I think, well, how can you not know me? So right away, I'm thinking, you're not that professional. And the other thing I always think is, I would never refer anyone to you. You don't have the decency to know who I am. That is something that I never want to happen to you. I don't want you to be that coach who doesn't know who their clients are, because that doesn't leave a good feeling in your clients. All of a sudden they think, well, I'm not that important. And if they have that identity already of, I'm worthless, I'm not important, and then you compound that by not remembering them, that is a faux pas that I don't want you to make. And that's why I share that story with you. Not that you would do that, but if you have a tendency to forget people's names or not make that connection, then that's suggestion I made by actually having the pictures of them. And even if you have to take your phone and they're on the screen and you take a picture, however, and then you put their names so that you know who they are. When you're making those notes, that way you can pull forward the information. And in your preparation, which I talked about in the last lecture, you can know who they are, pull forward what's important to them. That will pay dividends for you. And obviously, you will become more and more skilled at this if this is something that you have never even thought about. Believe me, with people, their identity, it's just important to remember them. And that is something that I want you to be able to do. All right. Starting the session, step number 1 is 5 minutes. Now the phrasing, obviously, you followed these steps, you've downloaded it, but it's the now, next, and new. By session number 7, you are very familiar with this. How do you feel right now about what you learned in session 6? How do you feel? What are your thoughts? Remember, pulling forward specific information for each of the clients. If you're working with a group, or if you're working only with one client, then your undivided attention is on them. And they're going to share with you what they implemented, any struggles or challenges that they had. But over the next 40 minutes, telling them how long it's going to be, we're going to look at a new approach, a new session. It's all about your success. And this is where you remind them, hey, that email I sent you, did you have a chance to look at it? Yes, I did. All right, as we continue on, we're going to focus on that. So you want to have that PDF document handy. Perfect. That sets you up for success. It sets your client up for success. You have connected with them and built rapport with them, and it's only taken all of 5 minutes. You're now ready to move on to step number 2. Now, you don't tell your clients, okay, now we're going into step number 2. We're going to start with step number 1. No, that's just for your knowledge. You don't give your clients the session guides. The only thing that you give them and send them is the PDF document in an email. You don't give them the session guides. That is for your eyes only. You don't say, all right, we're going on the next step. You just move in by using the phrasing. Now, for us, obviously in the next lecture, we will focus on step number 2. Let's continue. Let's focus on step number 2, and I want to share with you some insight. Now, it's all of 5 minutes. The unwind process begins with the questions. If you're going to unwind your client and really help them to peel back the layers of protective identities that they have, or identities that aren't confident but are protective, then this is what we do. We start by asking those questions. But your phrasing, the way that you begin, as I ask you these questions, share the first response that comes to mind. Remember, it's always the first response, because the first response is their gut response. It really is about how they're feeling and what they're thinking and connecting without overthinking. Because the moment that they start overthinking, that's where they begin to edit, and that's where they have to be that identity. And quite often it's that identity of perfectionism. I have to be perfect, because if I'm perfect, then I will be approved of and I will be worthy. And you don't want your clients to attach to that identity. That's the identity that's been holding them back. You just want them to unwind for a bit and relax and realize that they don't have to play any parts. They don't have to play any roles. They can just be themselves in the moment and relax. And you've got to share with them, okay, let's just peel back the layers a little bit. And what was your first thoughts when you saw this image? Yeah. Because if we're going to redecorate any home, if we're going to remodel anything, we have to get rid of the layers that don't work. And these layers don't work anymore. And maybe the color is all wrong. And it's that connection that people make. They don't even think about it. And when you're working with clients, you're going to listen to their language. We've been talking about that so often. But the language that they use and the metaphors and the imagery. And so many people say, I don't feel comfortable in my own skin. I just want to feel comfortable in my own skin. And that lets you know that maybe the layers that they have, those protective layers, aren't working for them anymore. And this was just what they did to survive when they were a kid. It's not working. And that's where the questions that you use help them to peel back those layers. But it's all of 5 minutes, because then you're going to move them into the procedure, that NLP, the neuro-linguistic programming technique, that's going to make those connections. So if you go a little bit over, but you can always pull those questions forward as they are engaging with the technique. Let's look at that in the next lecture. Let's continue. Thank you for completing this Confidence Coaching Leadership Lab. Every skill you practice here strengthens your ability to lead with clarity, confidence, and grounded presence in real-world situations. If you'd like to continue developing your human-centered leadership and coaching skills, you'll find additional resources, leadership labs, and professional training. Links in the description below. I appreciate you being here and investing in your growth as a leader.